Um, Hello, you guys. God bless you guys. First and foremost, I just want to say, thank you, Pastor Izzy, for allowing me to have this opportunity. I just want to thank you, God. Thank God, because without Him, none of this is possible. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Emerik. My name is Emerik. I'm 16 years old. And today I'm going to be sharing just a little bit of my testimony and share with you guys what God has brought me out of and what has gone through. What has happened in my life. I remember growing up in church. There would be times where we wouldn't go to church here and there, but majority of my life we had been going to church. But growing up, I didn't want anything to do with the things of God. I remember my mom telling me things about God, and at that time I would get so mad. I tell her to be quiet. I don't want to hear that God stuff. But I just want to get into how I grew up. I had a father. I'm not saying my father was a bad person, but he did a lot of bad things that no wife or kid should witness. My dad was a drug addict. He was an alcoholic at one point. He got over alcoholism, but eventually fell back into it, along with marijuana use and drug use. I remember growing up and just seeing what drugs and alcohol was doing to my dad, about how it changed him, how it changed his behavior. As I grew up, I began to get filled with so much anger, because of the abuse that was going on. And I remember I walked in the room, my dad and my mom was like just sitting on the floor as if she had gotten pushed. I remember seeing my dad like a couple feet away, and he looked very angry. And long story short, my dad, he pushed her. That's when things began to spiral out of control. The more older I got, the more things I saw that I shouldn't have. The more bad the abuse became, the more violent he became. I remember, growing up in school, I had my little crowd, and they weren't really as good as people as I thought they were. They were into drug use, they were into fighting, getting suspended, doing all those crazy things, and unfortunately I got led into that. And they would just use me to get them, and use me to get myself in trouble, right? Just to use me to do their dirty work, if that's one way to put it. But I remember I began to start using drug use. I never got into it because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I never liked vaping. I never liked weed at all. I didn't like the taste of it, so I kind of just put it to the side, and I didn't really like it. But growing up, as I got older, middle school, I remember the older kids, they would always offer, and I would always be like, oh yeah, sure bro, like let me what you got there, bro, let me hit it, bro. Or they would ask me like, hey bro, like hit this up, bro. And in my old mind, it's just like, oh bro, you don't want to be lame, bro. Like you don't want to be lame, bro. Like if you don't hit it up, you're gonna be lame, bro. And that's what the enemy would always tell me. I remember just my mom coming home from wherever, work or something, and she would tell me, hey bro, hey, like you need to pack a bag, your dad's coming, you're gonna be going to your grandma's tonight, you're gonna be staying there for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, like I don't know what's going on, but I know something bad's about to unfold. Long story short, it got to a point where the abuse got so bad. I just want to mention too, I'm not from California at all. I'm actually I'm from Chicago, and over there is bad, ghetto and stuff like that. But my mom had said that God had told her to come here because this is where I want you. This is where I want you to be. And when we first came here, it was kind of just like, oh, like I don't want to come here. Like I don't know anybody here. I got some family here, yeah, but I don't know anybody here. Why are we moving? And at that time, I was really, really disappointed. My dad also came along as well. And it got worser. It got bad to the point where me and my mom and my twin brother, we left, and my dad stayed at our old place until I think the rent went up. It got to that point where it was like, oh man, my dad doesn't want to change at all, to the point where he's choosing drugs over me. I'm not gonna lie, it hit me hard to know that your own father, the man who gave you life, is choosing a little substance over you. I was around the age of 12 where I started to drift away from God for a very long time, and I let it get the best of me, and I ended up going back into things. I left God completely. I stopped praying. I stopped reading my word. And the year that we had came to California, in the year of 2024, I was really broken. I didn't have God in my life anymore. I hadn't prayed in years. I think I was 14 at the time. And we went to the Ontario Convention Center. But that's where I had met my now present friends, the Garcias, the other friends too, Matthew and all of them. And I remember going up to the front with hundreds of people with them around me. And I remember Micah Garcia, the oldest one, he said, "Hey bro, let me pray for you, bro." And I was kind of just like, oh, okay, like, I was a little embarrassed, like, oh, okay, like, you know how it is. And I remember he prayed for me, and they all prayed for me. And I remember I felt like I never felt before. Like I had forgotten this feeling so much. I had gotten encountered by God again, and I had felt so much peace that I haven't felt in such a long time. And I'm just like, man, like I snapped out of it after that conference. And I remember, I told myself, I'm like, bro, what am I doing? Why am I doing these things? Why am I dabbling to things I shouldn't? Why am I not following God like how I'm supposed to? And I would question myself, like, why did I leave you? I remember praying to God about that, like, why did I leave you? Why did I leave you for? And I just remember crying so much, and I was asking God for forgiveness, asking him, like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do, I didn't know, I thought, I was so naive, I didn't realize what I was doing. But I got back up on my feet, and I began to pray more, I began to read my Bible more, and I began to reconnect myself with God, reconnect my relationship with God. And over time I was building that relationship, and I was getting rid of things that I should have got rid of a long time ago. And by the grace of God, I'm here. And by the grace, by the mercy of God, I'm so blessed to be here. It's so crazy when you think about it. It's like, man, we serve such a forgiving God, a person, a being, a powerful, omnipotent, omnipresent being who loves us so dearly, who's so patient, who's so merciful. And I just thank God till this day that I'm here, and that I'm so excited to see what God has in store for us. And I just thank God for all that he has done for me and my family. If you're going through anything, if you're going through depression, if you're going through anxiety, drug use, or any other things that's going on in your life, give God a try. Give God a try. Don't be scared. Give him a try. We've already seen the things of this world. The things of this world, they got nothing going on. And let's try something new. Let's try something different. Let's try and see what God can do when we invite him into our life. What God can do when we allow him to work in us. Give God a try. If you don't have God in your life, give him a try. Pray to him. Asking God, reveal yourself to me. Show me who you are. Show me your greatness. And he will show you your greatness. But that's it for today. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for allowing me to share my testimony with you guys. God bless you guys. Thank you.